I think the police will fragment very quickly and not support this. But they did show in hurricane in Louisiana in early 21st century, they did violate people's rights tremendously. Now, what about FEMA? Yeah, they will. FBI, they're goon squads. Don't tell me, oh, good men and women. If you're a good man and woman, you wouldn't be working for the FBI. I got my pension. Okay, you just named your price. What about military? What about the leadership? The Joint Chiefs, my humble opinion, like Milley, they belong in jail. They should already been indicted, court-martialed, kicked out, and then kicked into jail. 60% of the Pentagon budget missing. That's a felony, guys. Multiple felonies. Where'd the money go? Oh, don't know. That's felony. You don't get to do this. So will they go along with a corrupt regime? Yes, they will. Will the military leadership, in like division commanders and so forth? Yes, they will. Initially. I've been told by military personnel and intel that I know that we could expect about 20-25% of commanders and soldiers to eventually rebel against a situation like this. And then it could get really ugly because the Kigali principles come into play, and we can order in the foreign troops from the UN to cover these situations. I mean, this could get ugly really, really quickly. And here's my warning. Soldiers, policemen, you have an obligation to uphold your constitutional oath. You have an obligation to serve and protect the people of the United States. The first goal of government is to keep the people safe, not to enslave them. And I'm appealing to you to be on the right side of history. I'm not advocating for a civil war. I don't want a civil war. But what I am saying is they passed this wood stove thing. They do the thing with the guns. You have to have a receipt from 100 years ago. Now they can take your gun. You ain't getting my cooperation. I will not obey those kinds of laws. And by the way, I'm hearing this in the mainstream media. I was listening to a couple of radio stations yesterday in Colorado, and the hosts were saying, and it's not even conservative radio, and they're saying, we're not going to obey this. We're not doing this. Police and fire, to FEMA, to FBI, to military. Do your constitutional duty. Don't follow illegal and illegitimate orders from the uniparty. And that about does it. That's it for the Common Sense Show. Please share this far and wide.
Shalom. I want to give all praise and glory to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham Ha Rakakwadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders which rule great millstone wow. And shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. May you endure into the end. Shalom. Wa Abba Babal. Alright, so what you just witnessed is prophecy being fulfilled. In 2 Ezra 15, verse 16, it says, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. You just witnessed that. All right? He's pretty much fed up with his government, and he ain't the only one. All right?
Bullet points today that faith and courage, I always tell you, is going to lead you this year. You're going to need a lot of faith. You're going to need a lot of courage. You're going to need to believe in yourself. You need to focus on one major goal this year, too. Throw everything else out the window. If it's cash flow, focus on cash flow. If it's building a healthy relationship with your wife, focus on that. Okay, if it's being a good father, that's your number one goal, focus on that. Everything else cascades into the focus. Everything becomes more apparent on how to use the tools that God gives you to build a business or to build the life that you want or to build cash flows or to build your spirituality when you understand what your major goal is. Then take a look around you, and I really believe this because he's always done it for me. God will always provide you with the tools, physical, mental, people, spiritual, financial, that you're going to need to destroy life. He gives you what you need. God, he's smarter than us. He knows better than us. He'll even take away at times. Sometimes that's for protection. That could be for your own personal education. Okay, so understand that you all have tools. Figure out what your tools are. Some of you might say, well, Chris, I don't have any money, I'm broke. Well, then that's not one of your tools. Your mindset, your people, your physical location. Maybe you have an idea that someone else doesn't have. That's a massive advantage. Take advantage of it. Might be a friend that believes in you. Might be a wife that believes in you. My wife, an incredible woman, always believed in me. She's been a key part of my success, really. So good people, you want good people nurturing you, nurturing your value system. And by the way, if you're not willing to fight for what you want in life ain't that cool. Okay, because everything worthwhile in life, you got to freaking fight for. Like a UFC fighter. You got to throw blows like freaking Mike Tyson to get what you want in life. That's how we roll, and that's how you should roll. You also don't need college or traditional education for success. Does not teach you how to make money, teaches you nothing about investments, teaches you nothing about life, teaches you nothing how to start a business. In fact, college, waste of time for a lot of people. I went to college, private, public university, top of my class, got straight A's. I'm a smart guy. I did extract some value from it, but did it teach me how to make money? Zero. Honestly, taught me how to write a resume. Didn't teach me or give me the street cred to turn, a penny to a dollar and a dollar to 10 and 10 to 1,000. So you don't need college. You don't need that. You don't need the traditional system. And they're getting rid of schools. They don't even want schools anymore because they're eradicating the general job population. This is why they're firing everybody right now. This is why there's massive layoffs, because they're going to replace you with robots and AI. They no longer need 9 to 5s, and you're not going to get a gold Rolex at the end of your retirement. It doesn't work that way anymore. The future of education, you're going to be getting stamps of approval from Jeff Bezos' accreditation courses. That's the future, but it's going to be a waste of time. So you don't need college unless you're in highly specialized areas like maybe legal, but even that's being taken over by AI. Or I would argue if you're a heart surgeon or something like that, yeah, it's worth going to school, worth getting the higher degree education. You've got to be highly specialty. You've got to be at the top of your game. But if you're getting a general BA in underwater basket weaving, expect to be broke, and it is an overrated drinking college experience, which is what it is. I would say the best thing I got out of it was my beautiful wife, quite frankly. And some good times. But that's basically what it is. So you don't need that. It also does not teach you how to find opportunities and identify trends moving forward. My fourth point, AI and tech will continue to replace more and more people and jobs. That's just going to be a permanent transition. You've seen nothing yet. It isn't even that exciting yet. GPT, for example, is very low-level technology, but they're going to actually create, and I believe already have created, conscious robots. Conscious machines that they will have replace humans in the very near future. So Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos can live forever into perpetuity, grow their wealth without taxation, infinitely. And the same thing, think about dictatorial rulers ruling forever throughout the ages infinitely through their robot consciousnesses that they've uploaded into physical robots, and then also replace their body parts with synthetic hearts, livers, lungs, etc. So you're going to see a death by 1,000 cuts and an integration of human beings into a new cyborg conscious, but I don't think they're conscious at all. I would say they're possessed by demons for sure. So the new robots that you see walking among you over the next 10 years, they won't be conscious. These will be demons that have infected and overtaken, which we're going to have to exorcise the devil out of some of these people, into these robot, tech, cyborg, I don't know, what even a word for it. There's going to be words that develop because of it. So don't miss, arguably here in the United States, massive wealth destruction. We see a wealth transfer, war, all these things are going on right now. In the disruption is always massive opportunity if you're smart. This is the...
All right. So as you can see, once again, prophecy being fulfilled. All right. These Edomites are going to actually go against their government in sedition. They're already doing it by definition. It says sedition, conduct or speech inciting people to rebel against the authority of a state or monarch. All right. So we're in the time of these prophecies being fulfilled. We are in this time of woe. All right. As it says in Isaiah, 2 Ezra 15 verse 14, woe to the world and them that dwell therein, For the sword, which is the so-called white man, the red devil the Bible speaks of, for the sword and their destruction draw nigh, which is going to be a nuclear destruction. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one and another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power.
As it says here, China has blockchain. China has retail demand bottled up. China is in a very good position to give their domestic demand access to physical gold using blockchain, tracking every bit of it and where every bit of it goes. And in doing so, it would help their CBDC. End game. Can't you see? They're not the enemy of the United States government. Russia's doing the same thing. How come? Okay, you gotta be a fool at this point in the game to see that all the governments are pushing the same ploy on their people and to not realize they're in on this together. They are doing the exact same scam to all their people. Didn't they just do it with lockdowns and that too? The exact same scam? Yes, they did. They did the same thing with ISIS as well, the boogeyman. If you pay attention, the curtain falls. You can see who the real wizard is behind the curtain. They're in bed together on this world stage. Don't you ever forget it. In the CBDC, this is it. This is the 9/11. This is the grandiose event. This is it. When this gets incorporated, your privacy is gone. This doesn't have to be communist China. Well, it will be at that. The whole world will be. Anywhere that is on blockchain that is being tracked by a CBDC, your privacy is gone forever. You bet there's going to be cats out there in some country somewhere. I don't know if it's Africa. I don't know where it's going to be. They're going to fight for their freedom. Because the sure as hell don't seem like it's going to be here. All the patriots here waiting for the next chump rally. It's pathetic. Have no militia here doing nothing, not flexing. They've taken over the White House completely. We're getting invaded at the border. I mean, you name it. We're done. And you can't get no one to do anything because they're scared shitless. It's pathetic. It is pathetic. It's pathetic. So, ain't no one coming to help us. There is no allies sending in goods and troops. No, We've been sold out by our own people, our own politicians. You've got a governor's mansion in your own state. You got a governor that you can take the heat to peacefully and bring up these issues. If they don't want to do something about it, vote them out. Vote someone else in. You know, this works best in the small towns. Pay attention. If you're in a small town, this is where it works best. If you've only got 100 people in town, so to speak, guess what? It's easy to count those 100 heads, even 1,000. Bring them all out to town square to vote. We're voting for the governor today. We're voting for the mayor today. And everyone is going to cast their vote by a wave of hand or whatever, a show of hands and heads. And not hide behind a curtain and all this garbage. Like, stand for what you rep. Bring the whole town out. If you represent this man right here, then I want to see it. And I want to see every person in town that reps it. When you do this, they can never fool you. They can never rig your election. Put down the donuts. Get away from the TV. Step into downtown for a minute. Save the city. Get up off that ass and do something. All you got to do is come out with your numbers. The powers and the people. In the politics that you address. The power is in your numbers. Always has been, always will be. You know how many times I've been covering protests in the streets, cops sitting there battling us, battling everybody front line, then all of a sudden, something changes. We're moving through the streets. The cops are now stopping traffic for us because we've outnumbered them. The people. I've been swept up in it several times, and it's a glorious thing. Because then all of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, soon as the police in the street realize they're outnumbered, they turn around and they're pedaling and they're running to the next intersection and they're blocking traffic, and all of a sudden they're working for us. You see how that works?
So once again, you witness prophecy being fulfilled. 2 Ezra 15, verse 16. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one and another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So you're going to have civil war in America soon. All right? And it's really going to become a race war against you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. All right? It's called Jacob's Trouble. Jeremiah 30. Because they're going to turn their hate towards you. Because they're the sword in the Lord's hand. And you've been rebelling against him. Jeremiah 30, verse 7. Verse 7. Allah's, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. So it's called Jacob's trouble because it's dealing with you Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. All right, you are the biblical Hebrew Israelites. And this is why it was allowed for the so-called white man, the red devil, to conquer you and put you in slavery, even still to this day, which you're subject to payment. All right? But now we're coming to the end of our slavery, and that's why it's trouble for us, because the so-called white man, he is Pharaoh today, so he thinks he's God, he thinks he's king, all right? And him sitting on the throne, all right, he's forfeiting it by his wicked deeds, okay? And so we're announcing the return of the true king, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi. Yahawah is our Heavenly Father. Bahasham in the name Yahawashi. Yahawashi is the King of Kings. And he's going to return to save Israel out of this trouble of Jacob. And 2/3 are actually here in America going to be left here to remain and die the judgment that the Lord has put forth for their disobedience. That's why it says also in the same chapter, in verse 1, 2 Ezra 15, verse 1, Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people words of prophecy, which we do. We do them through the videos, and we go out there on the highways and we do these camp videos. So we're putting prophecy out there, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord. So the Lord chose us to be prophets, and he brought us into this reality during this time to prophesy unto our people. It says in verse 2, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true, which the prophecies we were speaking of and remembering by the Holy Spirit is the Holy Scriptures. The Holy Scriptures are prophecies. They also are history of prophecies that have been fulfilled. It says, fear not the imaginations against thee, which the devil wants to kill us, but they can't. As well as 2/3 of our own people want to kill us. All right, just like our master. It says, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee. So don't worry about their lack of faith. Worry about the faithful that speak against thee. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Behold, saith the Lord. Salakia, I have a little cough, so I'm pausing so I don't have to cough in your ear. But returning in verse 5, Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. So that's what's this world's problem. All right, the Lord is bringing plagues upon the world, upon the people that occupy the world today. The sword, so he put the so-called white man in power. Famine. Famine is what the so-called white man does because he weakens the nations. Death, which the so-called white man is literally the harbinger of death. And destruction, which the Lord gave him a great sword, the nuclear missiles. All right? And it says, for wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth. So the whole earth is out of order. All right? You got women ruling over men. You got men and being effeminates. All right? And living as, and I'm talking about the Israelite men. You know, it starts with them first. That, you know, they have taken on the customs and worship the gods of the heathen. So we have to tell our people to repent so that they might be saved. All right, because the so-called white man, the red devil, he's coming down with great wrath, knowing that he has but a short time. And they're going to make that device that we've always been telling you about, the size of a grain of rice, that they're going to want to implant inside your body and make mandatory, which is supposed to be a digital wallet. You could look up Ripple XRP digital wallet, and it's going to show you a device that they will implant inside your hand, which is internationally controlled by the ISO. All right. And it's going to be a device that is the size of a grain of rice that they want to implant inside your body. All right. A micro CHIP, which they're going to make mandatory for buying and selling. And that will condemn you if you take it, if you are an Israelite. All right. It says in verse 7, therefore saith the Lord, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness. That's why the prophets are here. We're, revealing who the son of perdition is. We're revealing the son of perdition because we're revealing the truth about Yahawashi. Yahawashi is the light of the world. It says, which they profanely commit, neither will I suffer them in those things. So that abomination of putting a microchip in your body, the Lord's going to come up against that, because that's going to be raging war against Jacob, because you're not going to be able to buy or sell without it. And in fact, they're going to try to put you to death as well. With their guillotines, they got weapons of death and destruction, because they're the devil the Bible speaks of. All right. It says, in fact, I could jump back from that. Let me get that real quick. The Spirit said, get that. All right. Because this is how this devil's going to come. He's a devil, and he's literally the devil. All right. It says in Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 1, for the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not upright. So the wicked, the so-called white man, and the other nations, and even 2/3 of our people think in this state, okay? When they think of something, it's wicked the way they think of it. It says, our life is short and tedious, and in death of a man there is no remedy, so they're faithless. Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave. See, they have no faith. All right. It says, for we are born at all adventure. All right. Adventure means dangers. And we shall be hereafter as though we had never been. So that's why they live that YOLO style. For the breath in our nostrils is as smoke, and a little spark in the moving of our heart, which being exhausted, our body shall be turned into ashes, and our spirit shall vanish as the soft air, meaning they shall die, and nothing shall remain. It says, and our name shall be forgotten in time, and no man shall have our works in remembrance, and our life shall pass away as the trace of a cloud. So they don't have no thinking of consequence. All right. they're just thinking they're losing out. They're wasting their time. All right, so they got to get some kind of pleasure out of their time. It says, and shall be dispersed as a mist that is driven away with the beams of the sun, and overcome with the heat thereof. For our time is a very shadow that passeth away, and sendeth our end. It says, and after our end there is no returning, for it is fast sealed, so that no man cometh again. All right, so it's that that suicide mission, YOLO mentality. All right, it says, come on, therefore, let us enjoy the good things that are present, and let us speedily use the creatures like as in youth. Let us fill ourselves with costly wine and ointments, and let no flower of the spring pass by us. So they're going to spoil women, all right? And that's what really Israel is. Israel is a woman, a delicate woman, and they're trying to spoil her by making it mandatory that Israel has to take this device, which our power, our God, Yahawah, which He's going to save us through Yahawashi, has commanded us not to agree to this device. In fact, death is gain in this situation. All right, it's better for you to die than to agree and accept that device that's the size of a grain of rice that they're going to make mandatory for buying and selling. It's better to die than to agree to their device. It says in verse 8, let us crown ourselves with rosebuds before they be withered. See, so that's what they're talking about. The devil knows he has a short time. Even these average citizens, they are starting to wake up that they're running out of time. They're realizing that their so-called great America is falling. All right, it's literally dying, and it's really dead. It just ain't realized it yet. It's at its end because they're making that device mandatory soon for buying and selling, and it's going to become worldwide, fulfilling the prophecy, bringing us to the end of our slavery, which Yahawashi is going to deliver us, because this devil is going to want to oppress us even much more. It says in verse 8, let us crown ourselves with rosebuds before they be withered. Let none of us go without his part of our voluptuousness, because they were promised the voluptuousness of the earth. Let us leave tokens of our joyfulness in every place, for this is our portion, and our lot is this. Let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the aged. And this is how they wrote, even as ancient Romans. They just spoiled people. They didn't give a fuck who they killed. They had no respect of persons. All right? Which it was prophesied that these devils would be like this. All right? And they're going to come in with great wrath, knowing that they have but a short time. All right? I don't doubt we start seeing these racist groups start taking out violence against the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American Indian, because they're being roused up through the social medias saying that there's an invasion, and then they're talking about the Chinese being able to leave their state or their country, and that that's where their COVID, thing started. So racial tensions are at an all-time high, okay? And any day you're pretty much going to see violence pop off, all right? It's going to come near you. A lot of people are going to die by violence, all right? And it's only going to become more violent and more violent with the lack of resources like food, protection, safe drinking water. People are going to become more violent as their needs become more serious.